Hey guys, it's Missy, and welcome back to Books and a Baby. So today, I am doing my August TBR, but the kind of caveat to that, so here's the deal with my TBR. I'm trying to participate in 3 separate readathons, and I'm trying to play Bookopoly with myself. So, the 3 readathons that I'm trying to participate in this month are the Tropical Readathon, which goes for the whole month of August, and I will leave the link to the blog post and the Twitter down below. Then I'm also trying to participate in Tome which I have a lot of big books on this TBR. And then I also want to participate in the Summerween readathon at the end of the month that Gabby is hosting. So I will leave the link to announcement videos, announcement blog post, Twitter accounts for everything down in the description. So let's get started with this outrageous TBR. So for the Tropical readathon, there are 15 common tropes that are out there for you to use, and then there's also 2 challenges for each genre group, and I am a part of the horror mystery thriller group, and then there's also 2 group books that you can read. So my TBR, because Bookopoly got me at the end, is 19 books long. 19. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get started on letting you know what books I'm going to be reading in the month of August. Roll number 1. Okay, roll number 1. Is 9. Which is an adult fantasy. Okay, so roll number 1 was for an adult fantasy, and this is one that I'm taking from my previous TBR because I don't think I'm going to get to all of them by the end of this week, is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So this is a story about Fitz, whose parents are not around, and so he is kept by the royal family to become an assassin so that any other royal family could not use him against them. I've read this one before. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to reading it again. So, but that is the first one. And for the tropical prompt that this book matches up with, it is for the dead/absent parent trope. Roll number 2. 8. Community shelf. Okay, so roll number 2 was a community shelf card. And for this, I'm going to be putting in a little video of me rolling a dice with a list of the prompts from Tome and the Summerween Readathon to try to pick which of those prompts I'm going to do for this roll. So, okay, this one I'm going to roll a d20. 19. So since there's only 14 prompts, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
also just read it.
So for this one, the prompt was just to read a tome. And for this, I'm choosing Jonathan Strange. Hold on. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susan Clark. And this also goes for the prompt of a strange name. Now, I took this a little literally, there is strange in one of our characters' names, so I'm counting it. But this is my first community shelf card.
Roll number 3. 6. It's a mystery thriller.
Okay, so roll number 3 was a mystery thriller. And for this, I'm choosing one of the group books for the tropical readathon, and that is Mexican Gothic. This is a story about a woman whose sister, I think, goes missing. Anyways, it's set in the 1950s in Mexico. I've heard really great things. Our main character is like a glamorous debutante, and her chic gowns and perfect red lipstick are more suited for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. But she's also tough and smart with an indomitable will, and she's not afraid. Not of her cousin's new husband, who is both menacing and alluring. Not of his father, the ancient patriarch, who seems to be fascinated by Naomi, and not even of the house itself, which begins to invade Naomi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. So, I'm excited about this one. This one also counts for like a haunted house book for the Summerween, but we'll have to see if I still have to read this one by that readathon. I have a few mystery thrillers on this list, so hopefully I will have some available to read during that week.
Roll number 4. Is 6. Which is a sci-fi?
Roll number 4 is a sci-fi, and for this, I'm going to be rereading Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I'm also using this for the prompt of mixed media trope. I'm really excited to reread this one. I really enjoyed it when I first read it. I tried to start the second one and I DNF'd it, but I want to reread this one and see if I can continue on because I know a lot of people love this series. So,
roll number 5 is 5. Which is a YA fantasy.
Okay, so for number 5, we have a YA fantasy, and for this, I picked The Secret Library. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Yep, there we go. This is the first book in the Secret Library series. It's called A New Keeper. I don't know if you can. There you go. It's by J.C. Gilbert, and this is a story about a girl who has the chosen one trope, which is what I'm using it for the So I'm using it for the Chosen One trope, for the tropical readathon. But basically, this girl finds like a mysterious library and she becomes its new keeper. And she discovers that some books can be a lot of work. Um, so I'm excited to read this one. I think it's going to be good to break up some of the bigger, heavier books that I have on this TBR for sure. So, next up,
Roll number 6. So that's 8. Another community shelf. Okay, so the star is for the ones that have already been picked. So, is that a 4? Yep, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A standalone tome.
so I got a standalone tome. So I was thinking, what is a good standalone tome? And then I thought about the fact that I still have not read, and I've had it for over a year now, probably closer to 2 years now, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So this is about ladies loving ladies and dragons, I'm pretty sure. So for the prompt for the tropical readathon, I'm using this for the enemies to lovers trope because I feel like there's going to be an enemies to lovers thing in this. There's definitely enemy territories. I think it's going to happen. So that's what I'm using for this.
Roll number 6. 5. Which is a chance card.
So for the chance card, we have my nice little wheel, which I'm going to share with you right now. Hold on. Flowers in the Attic. So, I will be reading Flowers in the Attic, which this one I'm using in the Tropical Readathon for a forbidden romance because this has a brother and sister who fall in love. So, I'm really excited about this one. I've read this one before as well, but I've been wanting to get back into some VC Andrews and kind of read all of her backlist until she passed because my mom says those are the best.
Roll 7. 10. Okay, so for that one, I got 10, which is a community shelf, but I started to get a phone call. Let's roll it again. 10, which is to read a book with a creepy cover.
Okay, so number 8 was a community shelf, and it was to pick a creepy book cover. And for me, I picked The Host by Stephanie Myers. This is just really creepy to me because of the eye, and it's just like staring at you. So I picked this one. This is a sci-fi dystopian novel, and I've had it for years. Like, I think this is going to be the one that I use for like the tome that's been on your TBR the longest, because this one has been on my TBR for years. I got it when I went to college back in 2008. It's been almost 10 years. No, it's been more than 10 years. It's been 12 years since I got this book, and I have like the physical copy, but it's back in my bookshelf. So, yes, I really need to get to this one. But yeah.
Roll number 9 is double ones. which would be a historical fiction.
So for number 9, we have a historical fiction. And for this, I'm going to be reading Fever by Mary Beth Keane. And this is a story about Typhoid Mary. And this is going to go for the trope of a outbreak / pandemic. This is about Typhoid Mary, who was a cook who ended up giving typhoid fever to like everyone in the house, and it became like a really big thing. And I'm super excited to read this one. So that is what I'm reading for the historical fiction / outbreak pop.
Roll number 10. 5. Another mystery thriller.
So roll number 10 was another mystery thriller, and for this I'm going to be reading the second group book for the Tropical Readathon, which is, let's see if I can get this to focus. There we go. The Things She's Seen by Amberlynn and Ezekiel Kamawalina, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know for sure. So I have no earthly idea what this one is about, but it's one of the group books, and I'm looking forward to reading this one and just having a cool mystery thriller to read.
Roll number 11. 7. YA fantasy.
So prompt number 11 is a YA fantasy, and for this I'm reading Gemina by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the second book in the Illuminate Files series, and this is going to go for the prompt of artificial intelligence for the Tropical Readathon. Like I said before, I DNF'd this one, but I'm hoping upon a reread of Illuminate and going straight into this one that I will enjoy it a little bit more.
Number 12. 6. Most recent purchase.
So number 12 was my most recent purchase, and this is my most recent physical purchase, which is Purity by Jonathan Franzen. And this is a story about a girl who doesn't really know anything about her life, and so I'm using this for the prompt of having a dark secret. This is one of the actual horror thriller mystery groups prompts, and I'm really excited about this one. I heard a lot of stuff about this when A Little Life came out, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this one.
Roll 13. A middle grade.
So for number 13, I got middle grade, and for this I'm using the tropical prompt of a retelling, and for this I'm going to be reading Peter and the Starcatchers by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. Side note, I have not actually read Peter Pan, but I love the Peter Pan movie, so this is a retelling of Peter Pan, and I'm looking forward to this a lot because I have a lot of big books on this TBR, and I'm hoping that having a few middle grade and young adult fantasies will help me get through all of these within the time limit.
Roll 14. Well, that didn't work. We're gonna say it was on 3. 9. Read a library book.
So for roll number 14, we have Read a Library Book. And for this, I have a group chat over on Twitter with my musketeer friends, and I asked them to pick a number between 1 and 20, and the book that came out of picking a number between 1 and 20 to get me to the like genre fiction that I was going to pick, and then the actual book was 17 and 13. So thank you, ladies, for those numbers. And then the book that came up was How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. And this is an Asian historical fiction about these two sisters whose mother and father die, and they're kind of living on their own here in America. That's all I really know about this one, but this one also goes for the trope of New Kid in Town, because these girls are fresh from, I think it was China, and they're having to deal with a lot.
Roll 15. Historical fiction.
So for roll number 15, we have another historical fiction. And for this, the prompt from the tropical readathon is the amnesia prompt. And for this, I'm going to be reading The House on the Strand by Daphne du Maurier. I read Rebecca, I think last year, and I really loved it. So I'm excited to read more Daphne du Maurier and see what I think.
Roll 16. Mystery thriller.
So for number 16, we have another mystery thriller. And for this, I am going to be reading The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is definitely more on the horror side, but I felt like it fit. So this is also going for Blast from the Past trope, and I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
17. YA fantasy.
So prompt number 17 is to read another YA fantasy, and for this, I'm using the trope of disappearance, and I'm going to be reading Sabriel by Garth Nix from the Abortion series. I've never read this. I've heard great things about this series, so I'm excited to see what this is all about.
And last roll for the double. Oh, I got double sixes. Let's turn the board around. Read a husband pick.
For this one, I am reading The Ruin of Kings because that's the one he picked, so.
Final roll, hopefully. 3. Another chance card.
Okay, guys, so for my final chance roll, we have Before We Were Yours. So I'm going to show you guys the cover of this one. Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. This is a story about two sisters who go to live with someone, and they're like, hold on. I'm just going to read you the synopsis. It says, Memphis of 1939, 12-year-old Ril Foss and her 4 younger siblings live a magical life aboard their family's Mississippi River shanty boat. But when their father must rush their mother to the hospital one stormy night, Ril is left in charge until strangers arrive in force. Wretched from all that is familiar and thrown into a Tennessee Children's Home Society orphanage, the Foss children are assured that they will soon be returned to their parents, but they quickly realize the dark truth. At the mercy of the facility's cruel director, Rill fights to keep her sisters and brother together in a world of danger and uncertainty. Aiken, South Carolina, present day, born to wealth and privilege, Avery Stafford seems to have it all: a successful career as a federal prosecutor, a handsome fiancé, and a lavish wedding on the horizon. But when Avery returns home to help her father weather a health crisis, a chance encounter leaves her with the uncomfortable question and compels her to take a journey through her family's long hidden history, on a path that will ultimately lead either to devastation or to redemption. Based on one of America's most notorious real-life scandals, in which Georgia Tan, director of a Memphis-based adoption organization, kidnapped and sold poor children to wealthy families all over the country, Lisa Wingate's riveting, wrenching, and ultimately uplifting tale reminds us how, even though the paths we take can lead us to many places, the heart never forgets where we belong. So, I've been wanting to read this one for ages, and I'm super excited that I get to read it this month, hopefully. So, that's it for my August TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It took a lot of effort. Please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can see when I post new videos, and I hope to see you guys in my next vlog. See you soon.